guys, this is the Gaming Revolution here, and welcome back to an all-new Black Ops 3 Zombies video. And today we're actually going to be going over all of the leaked DLC perks, which I covered on my channel quite some time ago. If we could go for 500 likes on today's video, that would be awesome. And if you've enjoyed this video by the end of it, make sure to drop a subscribe so you never miss any future uploads on the channel and you don't miss out on information. But at the time when I actually posted that video covering the leaked DLC perks, I was unaware or unsure on which DLC map I think that they would actually be released in, because we had no idea. They could have been released in DLC 1, 2, 3 or even 4. However, now that DLC 1, Der Eisendrache, has actually been released and these perks never actually made it into the map. In fact, we got 0 new perks on Der Eisendrache. I'm going to be talking about how they may tie into the future DLC maps now that we have more information, especially regarding DLC 2. So all of these leaked perks are actually coming from the PC beta's game files. If you're unaware, there was a massive leak from the PC beta where data miners went into the files and they found a load of secret stuff in regards to Black Ops 3 Zombies. However, for some reason, Treyarch decided to leave a load of DLC information within the beta as well, including information regarding DLC 1, Der Eisendrache, about how it would be called in the coding. It was called ZM_Castle, and it said it would be set in the Hohenwerfen Castle in Werfen in Austria. And that was 5 months before the actual DLC map actually came out, so just proving that it's legit. Now, within the game files, there was actually a perk known as Liquidity. Now, like with everything within the game files, it is subject to change, as Treyarch can change things ahead of time. However, now that Black Ops 3 Zombies has been out, and we've obviously played Der Eisendrache as well, there's no perk in relation to Liquidity. So from this, we can assume that it will be within one of the future DLC maps. Now, I discussed what I thought this perk would actually do within my previous video, but now that we have a lot more information and I was able to gather a lot of your feedback, it's really aided me and to come up with sort of some ideas of what this perk could do, because at the moment, all we have is the name Liquidity. Now, you've also got to bear in mind that since it's within the game files, the name Liquidity could just be a code name for the actual perk and may not be the actual name. However, it's still going to tell us a lot about what the perk might actually do. So once we actually get the perk, it might be called something else. However, it'll still be relating to this code name. Now, from the name Liquidity, there's a few different things that it could be to do with. First of all, it could have something to do with water. Obviously, the name Liquidity is referring to liquid, so the first thing that jumps to your mind is maybe this perk has something to do with water or some other liquid substance. But a lot of people actually suggested that this perk could have something to do with money, because it could be standing for something like liquidation, so it could this perk could possibly make like perks cost less or different items cost less. Or maybe it was a way, or maybe this perk gives you a way to actually gain extra points or something. But it could definitely have something to do with a point system. However, I still am leaning to the fact that I think it's probably something to do with water, although it could have something to do with the point system also. Because we know the next Zombies map, so we pretty much know the next Zombies map is actually going to be set in the Pompeii Islands. And I've done a whole 33+ minute long video, which I'll link down in this video's description, and you can find out all the storyline information and everything we know about this map so far. I would highly recommend to go watch that video, but this place is going to be very, very similar to Shangri-La, and it's all going to tie into Narmadel, and it's also going to tie into the Cthulhu mythos, and is most likely also going to tie into the ancient underwater city of Lemuria. Now, because of this, a lot of people do in fact think that part of this map is in fact going to be set underwater. Maybe it won't be a large part of the map and it'll just be a small part, but people are thinking at the moment that maybe this perk will in fact allow you to sort of swim underwater. Maybe it gives you the ability to use this water and have the effect to actually be able to swim in this water. Or it could have some other water effect, and it might not even tie into the DLC 2 map set in the Pompeii Islands. It might tie into DLC 3 or 4. So you can let me know down in the comment section down below, what do you think this Liquidity perk is in fact going to do? Also, do you think it's just the code name for the perk, or do you think it's going to be called something else? If you think it's going to be called something else, I'd like to know your suggestions on its possible name. Maybe it's like a new version of PhD Flopper, so that when you slide, it leaves like this trail of liquid on the floor which can damage enemies. I know a lot of people have been making ideas about perks, such as Banana Colada, and maybe it's something like that. But I'm sure it's going to have something to do with liquid or points. Now within the game's code there was actually code for some perks that were in fact within Black Ops 2 and also Black Ops, and these perks were actually PhD Flopper, Who's Who, and also Vulture Aid. Now please bear in mind that these could just be leftover code from Black Ops 2 and Black Ops 1, and these perks may not actually be within Black Ops 3 Zombies DLC, and they could just be leftover code. However, within Der Eisendrache we saw the Wonder Fizz return from Origins, so it's quite possible that if these perks were to return, they could return within one of the DLC maps within the Wonder Fizz. Now before you say, well, PhD Flopper can't return since it's already been replaced by a Gobblegum, and also there's no Dolphin Dive within Black Ops 3, well, the fact of the matter is that it could be renamed to something like PhD Slider, or it could be PhD Flopper 2.0 or something like that, or it could just be a different version of PhD Flopper, so that instead of actually having to flop to actually activate the explosives, instead you have to slide, and maybe because of that there might be an increased cost. As for the other perks, Vulture Aid and also Who's Who, I'm not sure if they will be returning, since it could just be leftover code, especially Who's Who, and a lot of people hated Who's Who from Die Rise, so I don't think that perk would ever return, but it is within the game's code from the PC beta files, so as I said, it could just be leftover coding, or we could be seeing it within the future. As for Vulture Aid, I would love to see that perk again, and I think it has a good chance of returning in the future. It was a very, very fan favourite perk, and it was very, very useful on Buried, especially with the Paralyzer. But you can let me know all of your thoughts on all of this down in the comment section down below. What do you think Liquidity is going to do? Also, do you think PhD Flopper, Vulture Aid, and also Who's Who will be returning to Black Ops 3 Zombies in the future, or do you think they're just leftover coding? So anyways, thank you for watching the video. Subscribe for new and for the latest and greatest Black Ops 3 Zombies news information. So thank you for watching, and bye.